Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Classic Gaming Brothers. I'm Zach.
And I'm Seth.
And we're the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right. We are the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right.
That's right. Another PAX in the books.
Another PAX in the books.
It was a show, for sure.
Yes. PAX was fun. We did a bunch of stuff, and we're going to talk about that in today's episode.
Yes, in fact, we got a bunch of interviews that we recorded.
We recovered, yeah. The Classic Gaming headquarters, sometimes things get lost, sometimes things get broken, sometimes you do have to recover things.
That's true. My throat hurts a little from a lot of the talking.
You might just be sick.
Con crud, maybe?
Yeah, you might have con plague.
We're all squared back to the daily grind starting tomorrow for me, but I think you already went back.
I did. Back to the real job. That's not Classic Gaming Brothers HQ, where we actually work. And producer Doug did tell me, he said, brothers, your sanctioned trip of the year has been completed. You are allotted at least 2 more at your discretion. And
we didn't. He doesn't like us when we take trips. Only PAX.
Oh, he told me I'm allotted 2 more.
No, that you were talking to a dummy.
Oh, I was talking to robot producer Doug.
Yeah, not actual producer Doug.
Yeah, we created an AI of producer Doug that we put into an Alexa, and sometimes it takes the consciousness of producer Doug as it sees fit.
What is this we created? Producer Doug created it. It's also not an AI. It's just a recording of him.
That's right.
And all it is one of those, it's a tape recorder, and there's one of those birds, the water birds, the bobbers that bob their heads up and down on the desk. It just pushes the play button and the stop button regularly, and then it's just him shouting at us.
But he did write the words AI and put it on a sticky note and put it next to it.
on the VHS player, yes.
Yeah.
That's how he uses it.
Good old producer Doug. Anyway, besides all that, Seth, what have you been recently playing?
So recently, and we're going to talk more about this game, so I'll try to keep my talk about it briefish, at least. Recently, I was playing a game that we found at PAX, which was the Secret of Weepstone demo, developed by Talesworth Game Studio. And Talesworth Game Studio is led by Hunter and Sean, who are brothers, just like us. Also, if you read their names in not the way that I said it, if you read them reverse alphabetical order, if you say their names together, they are Sean Hunter.
That's the guy from Boy Meets World.
They are Hunter and Sean, or they are Sean Hunter.
Sean Hunter. It's a Boy Meets World.
But they are brothers who are developing a game in a hand-drawn black and white style that's really inspired by classic D&Ds of the 80s, which is using the BX rules, except for some of it. It's fun because they just use various rules. They even put something out on their store page essentially saying, like, we use whatever rules we want. But a lot of the stuff is designed around BX, which is Basic Expert, not AD&D, which is Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which is where things diverge in the D&D world. So in Basic Expert, you have classes like Dwarf, Elf, Magic User, and so on and so forth. And you play in this game where you kind of recruit people in the town and go into a classic dungeon, complete with a map that looks exactly like the dungeons from old modules. It looks great. It looks just like a dungeon crawler that I would have wanted all the dungeon crawlers that are out to be. I want this game. I actually sent it to a friend of mine who's really big into D&D, and he was just like, yep, this is my game. Like, this is a game that I'm interested in immediately. So it's great. It's got a really cool premise. Apparently there's things that I've uncovered, like you can, like, if you die, your character changes some outcomes. You may get some additional, like, exploration done, or like doors may unlock, or there's stuff that happens if people die in your party. So it kind of changes the game. If you have people that die, people can die pretty quick. I went through the demo and lost nobody.
Nice.
Yeah, because I was very effective, and it was just a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I think it's definitely a game that I'm going to be looking out for, and that is Secret of the Weepstone, and it should be coming out sometime this year.
I actually am also looking forward to Secret of the Weepstone. I'm probably going to pick it up.
Yeah. Oh, are you? You enjoyed playing it?
I haven't played the demo yet, but I really like the aesthetic to the point where it's one of those games that I saw and I'm like, I would just buy that just because it looks good.
So the artwork is all done by the Hunter of the Sean Hunter.
Ah.
So Sean is the programmer and the developer, and Hunter is the artist. And apparently, when they were younger, Sean Hunters, they played a lot of D&D as kids.
Yeah.
And Hunter did a lot of the DMing, making the modules, doing the drawings and stuff. And so apparently Sean went to Hunter and said, draw this like you're 16 again. Like, just let's do it up. And the art style is really great. And I think it's just this is what happens when two brothers who actually have talents work together. Anyway, that's it. Secret of the Weepstone demo. Very excited about that game. Zach, I recommend you getting the demo. And
I'll definitely will try the demo.
Zach, what have you recently been playing?
Seth, recently I've been playing a game that I also picked up at PAX, though I picked up the full version of the game in a kind of classic-looking CD case. And that game is Brazilian Drug Dealer 3. I opened a portal to hell in the favela trying to revive Mit Aya. I need to close it. Developed by Joe Vino and released in 2025. This is a game that we're actually going to talk a little bit more about later in the episode because we interviewed Joe Vino, or I interviewed Joe Vino, who is the developer. And I don't want to spoil too much about what inspired him to make the game, but for those who have never heard of it or have not seen it on Twitch, I know it was played by people like Vinesauce and Moist Critical. Brazilian Drug Dealer 3, I opened a portal to hell in the favela trying to revive Mit Aya. I need to close it, is a boomer shooter built in the id Tech 2 engine, as in the same engine used for Quake. And it's literally the same engine that's used for Quake in the sense that, like, there's no bells and whistles applied to it to make it run any different. All of the guns are just Quake guns that have been reskinned. All of the monsters are basically Quake monsters that have been redesigned. It is Quake with a whole different paint job, basically. In the game, you play as a guy who accidentally opens a portal to hell in the favela while trying to revive Brazilian musician Mit Aya, who is named after the real Brazilian musician Tim Maia. And you encounter various possessed people and monsters as you battle your way to close the portal to hell, which, as a reminder, is located in the favela and was opened because you were trying to revive Mit Aya. It's just a bizarre little game. I would call it avant-garde. I've heard it referred to as, and I will briefly censor myself here, as a post game, and I thoroughly agree with that. I think that is a very apt description, though at the same time, getting to talk to Jovino and understand kind of Jovino's ways that he went about making the game and some of the pride that he has about the game, I do see it more as this kind of avant-garde piece of media that is very much embracing a part of gaming culture that exists in places like Brazil that often relied on things like mods and bootlegs, and that is, again, Brazilian Drug Dealer 3. I opened a portal to hell in the favela trying to revive Mit Aya. I need to close it, which was released in 2025, is available on Steam for about $5, and it's a bizarre little game.
So to get on to the Post-PAX Pod, we did some recording. I did some of my own recording this year. Nothing of value, just recording the Ryans. Zach this year decided that he was going to pass on doing a Friday PAX, and so instead we changed all of our plans and we did a Saturday-Sunday PAX this year. So there was no Zach on Thursday. Rio Ryan, the Ryan that was on the show for Galga, met up with me at my house, and we have a recording here. This is Seth and Rio Ryan, the Galga Ryan, leaving for PAX. Ryan, are you excited to be on our way to PAX?
I'm terribly excited. It's going to be a nice trip.
Is there anything that you're looking forward to seeing at PAX?
Oh, man. I feel like the floor layout's going to be pretty interesting this year based on the kind of guests that they have. So I'm interested to see how they manage their lines and stuff.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing. It looks like it might be one of the smaller floor layouts that we've seen, but we'll see when we get out. But they have split the tabletop section completely away from the video game section, which they didn't do last year. But we'll see on Saturday. This is Thursday, and we will we'll touch base again with Rio once we're on the train. And then we headed to the train. We're on the train going to PAX East. With me and Rio. Are you excited, Rio? We're approaching PAX at a pretty slow clip here.
Yeah, I'm excited that we're finally on the train. We are probably like an hour from the station, and most importantly, it's beautiful outside.
It is beautiful outside, and we'll be meeting up with British Ryan very soon.
and we'll check in with him when we get there.
And then we finally made it to the hotel, and we met up with Ryan Prime, Ryan Prime is our Ryan friend from England, and he is Ryan Prime because he is older than Rio, who's also named Ryan, so they're Ryan squared. We walked around the city of Boston, exploring the culture and the history of the city. We went to Cop Slide. We didn't go down it because there were children on it. We went to Quincy Market and Faneuil Hall and all those guys. And we stopped along our way and to various different bars, including Beantown, and had some cold Sam Adams outside from a cold Sam Adams.
Okay, we finally made it to the hotel that we're staying at for PAX, and we've met up with British Ryan. Are you excited to go to PAX this year?
Yeah.
There we go.
Then the evening came, and Ryan Prime had to depart because he had a friend that he was visiting who wasn't us. And so Rio and we went into the French Quarter, which is a restaurant near the hotel that we stayed at, and we had some New Orleans-style food. French Quarter is really good food. I had red beans and rice, and Rio got fried catfish, and we split some beignets.
Ooh, I do love French Quarter. It's a great restaurant. They have some good cocktails there.
That's right. And I spent a lot of the time in Boston drinking, which is another thing that we did as well. We had some cocktails at the French Quarter. We had some drinks at the various different bars. Friday came around, still no Zach. It was a lazier Friday. We got up and we got ready and went out and hit the city again. We eventually made our way over to where the Boston had the like farmers market, but it's not a farmers market. It's just like where a bunch of trucks drop off some fruit.
No, it is a farmer's market. It's the farmer's market over by over near the public market.
That's where we were. We went over to that area because that's where we met up with our tour guide Jimbo, and we went on a tour that was pizza, beer, and Paul Revere. Jimbo was a tie-dyed man who was very pleasant, and we drank some beers. And by drank some beers, I mean we drank a singular beer. And then we left, and we got some history of Boston, and we went to 2 pizza restaurants, Gallerita Umberto and the original Regina Pizzeria, both of them very good locations in the north end of Boston, but we did only get 1 slice of pizza from each location, and we were on the tour for a couple of hours, and we were walking all around, and when we were done, we were still kind of a little hungry, so then we went to Monica, which is a grinder place that makes these great grinders, and we got a grinder, and we split it in thirds. So we got 1 grinder, split it in thirds. So then we had 2 slices of pizza and a third of a grinder. And that was like our lunch situation. But we hung around for a while longer, and then I think I napped at one point in time. I think in the Friday chat, there might have been me napping at one point in time for like an hour or something. And then we went to, yes, during this time, Ryan Prime tried to go into the sauna because he really likes sauna, but it was broken, so he tried turning it on, and he could only get it up to lukewarm temperature, which is not great for saunas.
It's Friday.
You were relaxing. You said you were relaxing. No mention of a nap.
It is Friday, and we are. It is Friday, and we are.
What is that, Seth?
It is Friday, and we wrapped up a tour where we did pizza, beer, and Paul Revere. If you're in the Boston area, you can check out that tour with our buddy Jimbo. And now we're about to head out and grab dinner and go play mini golf. And tomorrow will be the first day of PAX. Ryan, are you excited about going into PAX for tomorrow?
Yeah, I expect there's going to be a decent line. But if we play our cards right, we're going to get there nice and early.
That's right. Zach should be joining us in the morning around 7, and we might be awake by then. And then we would ask other Ryan for some thoughts, but other Ryan is unavailable. So we'll check back in tomorrow.
Then in the evening, we went to Legal Seafood for dinner, and then we went to Putt Shack, where I scored 6th out of every single person in the place for that day.
That's
So out of the
amazing.
100 people that were in Putt Shack, I scored 6th best. Clearly won a few games that were our group, and Ryan and Rio won a game each. And it might have been because I cheated a lot, and that may have been why I was 6th. But I discovered in Putt Shack, if you have a Putt Shack near you, you can try this out too. I've discovered that if you slightly tap the ball when it's rolling, you can continue to move it, and the game doesn't recognize it as a stroke, and so you can get it on. You can get multiple hole-in-ones that way. I also learned that you can also get a hole-in-0, which breaks the system, and then it just flags your entire roll, like that entire hole, for as just a 0 score, even though it says you got a hole-in-1. And finally, one of the things that I also learned was that whenever Ryan Prime was having he would start having a fit about me cheating. He'd be like, and by fit I mean he would just be like, he's like, oh, you're just cheating. It's just cheating. You're not playing fair and square. And then I would be like, oh yeah, and I'd hit it. And every time I did that, I would get a hole-in-1 naturally, which was really funny. It was 2 or 3 times I sunk a hole-in-1 just by like whacking the ball chaotically and not really paying attention where I was going. Cool bar. We had a lot of fun time hanging out there, and it was a cool thing for the evening. Then finally, the day of reckoning, Saturday. I informed Zachary he needed to be at the hotel at 7:40 in the morning.
Right. So I woke up at like 6:30.
Yes. I don't know why we needed to be at 7:40.
That's what you told me. So I woke up at 6:30, and my partner was kind enough to drive me to a nearby train station so I could take the Orange Line into Boston, where I arrived at the hotel and got the key to the room, and arrived at the room and the lights were off and everyone was in bed.
We were awake. But yeah, so that's it. We got up shortly thereafter your arrival. Sunday was the sleepy day, but we were on the road pretty early for Saturday. We went and got breakfast at the Elephantine.
Hey Seth, where are we right now?
The Elephantine
What is that?
breakfast place.
Nice. Where are we going?
PAX.
Cool.
Are you excited about PAX?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And then we hit the floor of PAX. We eventually made our way to PAX. Made it in
We
line.
just smacked the floor at the ground.
Yeah. We got to PAX right as they opened the expo floor, right around 10 o'clock, and they forced us to go the long way around through the queuing room, which apparently 10:15 to 10:30 is the perfect arrival time for PAX if you don't want to go the long way to get to the expo hall. And so then we went into the floor and we started walking around the hall, looked like, and checking out all the booths. One of the first booths that we ran into was Clyde, who is working on the Game Tank, which is an 8-bit console that is being developed as an open source system. Zach was interested in this when we previously went through our pre-PAX pod, while Zach was interviewing the developer, which he'll cut in here.
Sure, so I'm Clyde Schaefer. This project is the Game Tank. The Game Tank is a brand new 8-bit console that I've created. It's fully open source, and that means that anybody can develop for it. Anyone can build one if they want, but I also sell them because it's kind of hard to build them yourself unless you feel like unless you really want to do that. Some people are. It's specifically meant to be engaged with in whatever way you want, and it's available for sale out now technically, and I'm going to be also selling it at conventions, and I brought some games to show for it.
Very cool. Now, I get kind of a vibe of like early 8-bit computer kits, like the MITS Altair and stuff. Is that kind of what inspired you?
That was part of the inspirations. At the time I was starting this project, I was doing some development for both the NES and for DOS computers.
Oh, cool.
And there was some features that were in the hardware on either system that I didn't have available, on one that I wanted on the other.
Yeah.
And another part of that was also like when I was a kid, I thought that the apex of being a game developer was to become a company that publishes a console.
Yeah.
And so when I was doing some teaching, later on in life, teaching myself digital electronics design, that kind of came back to me, and I thought, this is I might as well try that if I'm going to be doing a sort of creating my own capstone project as a self-taught electrical engineer. That would be what I go for.
Yeah, very cool. What have you found to be the most challenging thing in getting Game Tank off the ground and getting it to where it is today?
The most challenging thing, getting it to where it is today, has definitely been the marketing. I am not a marketer at heart. That is if I was to say the technical thing was just getting color video to work. That's very complicated. But in terms of like stuff that is like hard for me, across the board, that also like really matters. Getting it out there, getting sort of communicating to people, whether they're like in front of me or far away on the internet, what sort of the project is about and like why it's worth even like looking at or spending time on.
Yeah.
And I've even had the thing happen of people coming in to PAX, seeing it in person, and they say like, oh, I didn't really like get it online, but seeing it kind of like cements that, and it says like, oh, okay, that's what this is. This is like a tactile experience or connecting with the actual thing in front of you playing the video game.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I'm getting better on. It's not like a part of the process that I like resent or anything. It's definitely been the more stressful part is learning how to get build my voice and spread the message.
Yeah. Well, very cool. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was able to get some music of the game, which after the interview, you'll hear the music.
Yeah, great. And it was awesome to get to talk to Clyde, learn a bit more about the game tank, and get to actually see it in action. And if you're curious, you can look up the game tank online and you would be able to even back it. You can actually order one through a backing tool that they currently have available, and that you can order one that's already made. I think you can also order a kit. But overall, the idea is to have this open source system that people can put together as they would like to.
Maybe we should develop a game for the game tank.
Yeah, doable.
And then we can bring it to PAX, and we can say this game is available only for the game tank.
We'll make a 1 of 1 and say this cartridge is the only way to play this game.
Oh,
it is available on the game tank. No one else can play it except for Classic Gaming Brother fans.
No, and we could have it, and then we'll say at the end of the show it'll be available for auction, and we'll go to Heritage Auction and we'll get it sealed.
we'll get it slabbed.
We'll get it slabbed, and then we'll throw it up for auction for $10 million, and then we'll retire.
Next up, I bumped into Jovino and the publisher No Quarter. So Jovino, as mentioned, is a developer. He's a Brazilian developer who was showing off the game. Brazilian drug dealer before 4, Demons from the Portal to Hell I opened are still in the favela, and now I have to save Amadas from Ronaldo. And he told me a bit about that game, and also I picked up Brazilian Drug Dealer 3. I opened a portal to hell in the favela trying to revive Mid-Aya. I need to close it. Jovino was very kind to talk to us about his experience developing the game and his inspiration.
So the name of the game is Brazilian Drug Dealer B44, Demons from the Portal to Hell I Open are still in the favela, and I have saved my mothers from Ronaldo. It's a game made on the Quake engine, and it's the sequel of Brazilian Drug Dealer 3. I open a Portal to Hell in the favela trying to revive me, trying to close it.
What got you started making these?
I started making games in 2018, Shits and Giggles, and initially, Brazilian Drug Dealer 3, I opened a Portal to Hell in the favela trying to revive me, trying to close it, was for Shits and Giggles. Then it got viral on Twitter, and people begged me to make it into a cool commercial game, and kind of people forced me to, because I was like, I'm not gonna make this a commercial game, and then people were like, you're gonna, you mother, and they were like, get this money, put this on Steam Direct. People gave me money to put it on Steam Direct. I'm really grateful for that, by the way. And then it became a game that now I'm in the stage showing the sequel.
It's very cool. I seen the third game when it was up on Steam at some point. Like it popped up as a recommendation.
It gets recommended a lot for some reason.
Yeah, and I kind of got a vibe of like bootleg, like 90s, like kind of like wild, like you're in the depths of like the id Software forum sort of thing. Is that kind of the vibe you were going for?
Yeah, for sure. I made it thinking especially of like Brazilian bootleg games and mods.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in Brazil because we were so games were expensive in Brazil. Like we had a lot of bootlegs, like pirated versions of games. So in my PS2, I didn't play GTA San Andreas. I played GTA Rio de Janeiro with Brazilian radio stations, Brazilian team jerseys. I also played a lot of mods when I was a kid. I played mods for Counter-Strike 1.6 for example, CS Rio.
Yeah.
And I played a bunch of Dune and Quake mods.
Oh yeah.
I'm really into that kind of So it's an homage to weird ass looking amateur mods.
Yeah. Well, very cool. And people can find it on Steam as well as the sequel?
Yeah, they can find Brazilian Drug Dealer free. I open up to Heaven the Favela, Trains to Revive Me Tiny to Close It on Steam for $5. And also, they can wishlist Brazilian Drug Dealer B44, Demons from the Bird of Hell I open soon in the Favela, and I have Save My Mods for Ronaldo for $4 coming out in September 16th. They can wishlist now.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
So thank you again, Jovino, and apologies if I had to censor you a bit. A couple of I think you swore a lot for our episode, but thank you again, Jovino. It was great getting to talk to you.
We left PAX when it was lunchtime, and we went and got lunch at 12:30 at the Citrus and Salt, which is a restaurant in Boston that's close to the seaport. A great place to have as your lunch spot if you are going to PAX, because it is very close. It was a great food. We got some tapas, but like weird tapas. Like I got fried chicken that was in tacos, but the tacos were waffles. So
it was also a very large plate for what's referred to as tapas, which are traditionally small plates.
But they're American tapas, which are
yes, right, which are like
very different.
I do feel a little misled though, because the waitstaff was like, "Yeah, people usually order like 2 or 3 items a person," and then I saw your waffles, and I was like, "People are ordering 2 items a person with those waffles?"
Yeah, and I considered, because she said that, I considered ordering 2 items.
Yeah.
But then I said to myself, why don't I just order 1 item, and then if I'm hungry, I will order a second item. And then they came,
or we just
and
get
I said,
something somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so we did that. We headed back to PAX for the evening shift of the Saturday show, which was after lunch, so between 12 to 6. And then we're able to get in line, Zach and I. We were really excited to play God Save Birmingham. So we got in line, and we didn't really talk with any of the devs beyond perhaps, like, we talked to some people who may have been devs.
I think they were just all representatives, weren't they? Or like they were just like shooing people into lines.
Yeah, but we didn't ask them if they were developers.
Right, yeah.
But they were staff for the company though. And they might have been publisher staff, they might have been, who knows. But we did get to play God Save Birmingham, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Zach, you just played God Saves Birmingham, which is like Vane in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
How did you like it?
It was all right. It was pretty good. I still think it's definitely an early access game, and I think it still has some stuff to work out, but it was fun.
Yeah, I agree. I thought I had a lot of fun. I felt like it was even almost more put together than Vane is today.
Yes, I think so. But in their defense, I think they have more people than Vane has.
That's true. Vane, I think, has 1.5, maybe 2 people.
Maybe 2 people.
And I think they have a whole team.
Yes, yeah. But it's a cool game. I'm excited to see more when it comes out.
Ocean Studios, I believe, is the name of the Ocean Drive. Yeah, so that's God Save Birmingham.
God Save Birmingham.
I think for me, God Save Birmingham was the game that I thought had the most progress from seeing it from last year to this year.
Agreed.
It's cool kind of watching it develop. So maybe next year, if it hasn't come out, God Save Birmingham will be back. Felt like it was one of the main games, which it's not. They also had Pokemon and Magic there, so like Nintendo had a pretty big booth. There was a lack of like a lot of bigger game developers, which was surprising but not surprising.
Yeah, one of the bigger booths there was this scent company that was like developing modular scents for your computer.
Yeah. Oria.
I just thought that was kind of a bad idea. And then another big booth was Animo, which looked like a Pokemon knockoff that also looked a little AI generated, some of the artwork, to be honest. It might not have been, but it gave that vibe.
I was just looking up Animo, and it is a free-to-play open world RPG where you collect cute creatures. It doesn't say have a lot of AI, but I think they did.
It just felt it. Like, I don't know if it did or not. It was one of those games that gave off that vibe. There were other games that definitely gave off a vibe of being AI generated.
Definitely gave off gacha vibes.
Yeah.
Like Genshin Impact type of vibes. It may be free, but there's a hidden cost. We did then go over and talk to Sean Galley, developer of The Secret of Weepstone, which is a game that I talked about at the beginning of the show, which is a cool retro throwback to old school 1980s D&D modules. He was able to talk to Zach about some of his inspirations and his challenges with the developing of the game, and Zach will cut in the audio here.
So my name is Sean. This is The Secret of Weepstone, and this is a classic dungeon crawler that was inspired by the artwork of late 70s and early 80s D&D books. So the rules are based on the basic expert rules. That's kind of where we started.
Yeah.
Did a little bit of house ruling from there. And turn-based combat. The story has kind of a Lovecraftian, cosmic horror feel to it, although you don't see a lot of that in the demo yet. I mean, you kind of start to see it, but then you're really going to see it.
Yeah.
So, this is my love letter to that time and that way of playing, and it's a game I've always wanted to make. So
Very cool. What would you say has been one of the biggest challenges in developing the game?
Well, so developing in all black and white is, it comes with all kinds of challenges. But that's part of the charm, I think, of the game. And, I was inspired by the fact that in the past, they had the same challenges all those artists did.
Oh, yeah.
How do I can only use black and white. It has to, it's going to be probably a small image, but it still needs to read well. And there's a lot of challenges at drawing in that art style. So I've run into the same kinds of challenges. How do I make it so that all the environments don't mush together? How do I make it so that the UI doesn't, mesh blend into the background?
Right.
There's a lot of opportunities or times when you're tempted to just, it'll be easier if we just put a little color here. But
right.
If you just sit with that discomfort a little bit, eventually you will come up with something. And that's kind of the approach I took.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It was good getting to talk to you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
And for me, I feel like this game was probably best in show for me. It was it really just it drew me in. It was in the indie dev, the indie development kind of hallways. To be honest, I went to PAX Rising and I looked around. I think Zach was able to talk to a couple of people at PAX Rising on Sunday, but I didn't have anything that really called to me. This game, I walked by and I said, what is this? And then I saw them open the map up and it showed the D&D module and I said, oh, I think this game is for me. And then I walked over and I waited in line to play it. We talked to the developer. He pulled me out of line to talk to me.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then we talk some more. Hopefully, Sean, I think Zach will tag you guys in the release of the episode. He'll tag all the developers. And if you're listening to this, Sean, if you and Hunter or just you or whatever, if you guys want to come on the show, I'm more than happy to have you on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we extended that to him while we were there, but of course it was very busy, so hopefully he remembered. Yeah, I thought Secret of Weepstone was very cool. I didn't get the chance to play it there, but I will download the demo and give it a shot. Now, while Seth was off doing something, and I think it was actually while he was playing Secret of Weepstone, and after I'd interviewed Sean, I kind of wandered a little bit, and I got to meet Evan Wolbach, the co-founder of Drop Dead Studios. He co-founded it with his wife, and I picked up a copy of his game, Outbreak Shades of Horror, which is a Resident Evil-inspired game, kind of inspired by Resident Evil Outbreak, which was a co-op survival Resident Evil game. And this is also a co-op survival game. And my copy came with 4 different keys that I was able to give to my friends. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it looked cool. And it came in a really fun Sega Saturn inspired case. And here's what Evan had to say about his games.
So I'm Evan Wolbach. I'm the CEO of Dead Drop Studios and one of the developers and co-creators of the Outbreak series with my wife, Julia Wolbach. We create retro and modern survival horror experiences because they're not made anymore. Specifically, we always try to offer cooperative play in our games, similar to titles like Resident Evil Outbreak, 25 years ago. So we've done several titles now on all the major console, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, Steam platforms, and we try to hit a different genre of survival horror each time.
Yeah.
We've done overhead 2D games like Sweet Home, fixed camera games like the older Resident Evil games, and over-the-shoulder experiences like the more modern ones. We've done visual novels like the Silent Hill visual novel, similar to the Silent Hill visual novel on Game Boy.
Oh, yeah.
And our latest release is Outbreak Shades of Horror, which is a 4-player, cross-platform, online cooperative game that is a spiritual successor to Resident Evil Outbreak, with a wide cast of survivors, different scenarios, multiple story modes, extra modes, and tons of stuff to unlock. And that's the pitch.
Very cool. Now, you mentioned survival horror. What's your top maybe top 3 favorite survival horror games of all time.
It's going to be Silent Hill 3, Resident Evil 3 on the PlayStation 1, and I'm probably going to give the last one to, I'm going to give it to Fatal Frame. I like Fatal Frame.
Fatal Frame is amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you, Evan. And where can people, you said that people can find the games on Steam or
We're on Steam, the Xbox Store, the PlayStation Network Store, the Nintendo Switch Store, and we have some titles on Epic Game Store and Xsolla as well. We stream weekly on Dead Drop Studios on Twitch, and you can find us in our Discord, the Dead Drop Studios Discord, or wherever great podcasts are sold, I guess.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
And then we wandered around PAX a bit more. I think we looked at a couple of different things that were of interest to us, but then we left. We actually had reservations at a place called Temple Records. And Seth, do you want to talk a bit about what you thought of Temple Records?
Yeah, sure. Temple Records is a vinyl bar that does Japanese and Korean food. Yeah, like Asian, like fare with vinyl records. They have some music playing. I would say that the music was playing at a decent level, and it was loud enough to be.
Are you saying that for a particular reason?
Oh no, it was playing at a level that I could have a conversation with somebody, but also loud enough that I could appreciate it. They have a bunch of vinyls on the wall, and they had some really good food. I had a bunch of it. It was more of a true tapas place, where the food was more smaller in plates, but not necessarily cheaper in plates. I think overall, though, I think it did come out to be not that bad of a price.
Yeah, this is my second time at Temple Records, and I love Temple Records. I think it's a great place, and if you're in the city of Boston, if you were looking for somewhere that you want to go that's cozy, even if you don't drink and you just want to go somewhere that's cozy, it has good vibe, I recommend it. And the people there are very, very nice and very friendly, very hospitable. After we went to Temple Records, we made it over to an escape room at Trapology. This is kind of a tradition of Seth and mine, and we do an escape room pretty much every time we've gone to PAX. We always have a good time at Trapology. We did The Retreat, which is a horror murder cabin, which was pretty spooky at a couple points. I got a little scared with at least some of the
Did you?
Like the weird sounds. None of the jump scares got me. It was the weird like knocking sounds in places and stuff like that, and just kind of the eeriness. And I'm not a big fan of everything being in the dark.
I think part of it was that I was cruising on alcohol from Temple Records because I consumed 2 very strong drinks before.
There was like the opening part where I still had a little bit of the buzz going, where I was pretty much cruising through, and then it started to wear off, and I was like, oh, it's a little scary now.
I liked there was 2 parts that I liked that I was doing possibly because I was intoxicated. One, there was various pieces of clothing that we found, and I decided that I needed to wear them all, and that I would take them off when they were involved in a puzzle. But I ended up wearing a t-shirt, a sweater vest, and a coverall, all not my clothing that I just found in weird spots. Gross thinking back to it, but and then the other thing that I did was there is this like creepy hole that's like put your hand in here to get something, or like don't put. It was like just like a creepy hole, and everyone's like, "Oh, I don't want to put my hand in there," and I just walked over and just shoved my hand in and grabbed the key that was in the hole. But yeah, so it was fun. I think it would have been more scary if I was less drunk, but I think it was funnier because I was as drunk as I was, that I was like, I don't think there's anything that I could be scared. I do feel bad. So the employee asked if anyone would hit them if they reacted like to like a jump scare, because they said there was jump scares, and I experienced no jump scare. They said, would you hit them? And I said it would be a 50-50 at the time. They also, we used the t-shirt to clean a window, and so I left it on the shutter, and then they pushed us all into a tiny little room, and I had a disagreement with the employee, because I was like, do I need that t-shirt? And I'm like, I wanted that t-shirt, and I didn't know if we were getting trapped in a room for a while, but we ended up able to go back into they had to drop some clues.
yeah, we were able to go back out. I think there was one moment where there was going to be a jump scare because I turned around and I saw someone entering the room wearing a mask, and I was like, oh, I think they're going to stage themselves to jump at us. So I waved at them and I said hello. And then the employee who was supposed to be a park ranger was like, oh, who are you saying hello to? And I was like, there's a person walking in. He's like, no, there isn't. So that was funny. But yeah, the escape room was great. And then after we went to the escape room, we decided we're going to get one more drink. And at the behest of Ryan Prime, went to a place called Yvonne's, which is described as, I looked it up. I was curious what Yvonne's was described as. Yvonne's is described as a new American restaurant and supper club. And we sure made it there when it took on the club vibe, because we walked in and the music was so loud that my ears hurt after the fact. When we walked out, everything was so nice and quiet, and I loved it. And I was like, oh, that's great. Also, I thought my drink was okay. It was not, I don't think, good. I think I preferred the drinks to Temple Records. You really liked your drink, though.
I did really like my drink. It was also my third drink of the night, I think. So I think I would have liked anything. But I feel like what we should have done was, when we walked in and it was really loud, we should have turned around and said, let's go back to Temple Records.
What we should have done is we should have gone to Elephant and Castle, which is the place that you thought we were going to go for breakfast. But Elephant and Castle is not too far, and it is a English pub that, according to Ryan Prime, don't exist in Boston anymore. In any case, we went to bed and we fell asleep, and then it was morning and it was time for breakfast. And we kind of had a quiet morning where we took our time and we stored our luggage and then went off to Bakey. Bakey is a bakery chain thing that exists in Boston, and we got some arguably okay coffee. It was certainly coffee. Mine was very, very hot, and I know Ryan Prime was complaining about the heat, and I got some okay pastries.
Okay, Seth, where are we?
Bakey.
What are we doing here?
Wakey.
Where are we going?
PAX.
E?
Paxy.
There we go. All right. Bye.
After that breakfast, we made it back to PAX, and one of the first games that I tried out was Do a Crime from Collywobble Games. Do a Crime was one of my favorite games of the show. I just thought it was a cute little game, and I really enjoyed it, and it just made me happy. But yeah, it's a cute platformer where you play as a raccoon, and you, in fact, do crimes. And we got to speak to Emily of Collywobble, who talked to me for a bit about the game, and here's Emily right now.
So we're at Collywobble Studio, or Collywobble Games, and we made a game called Do a Crime, where you play as a raccoon doing crimes. Imagine like Untitled Goose Game meets GTA.
Yeah.
So one moment you're doing like a fun, cozy puzzle where there's like a frog at the top of a jungle gym, and you have to go save him, and then the next moment we give you a gun. So cozy and chaotic, we're kind of the blend in between. Right now we have a demo out where you can do things like littering, trespassing, vandalism, disturbing the peace, but full game you have things like arson, Grand Theft Auto, identity theft, so we get pretty crazy. But yeah.
What would you say one of the most challenging things has been with developing the game?
We're a team of 3, so and we try to be as crafty as possible and stuff. So there's one programmer and 2 artists.
Okay.
And so we're self-funded. We're doing this all in our part-time because we all have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
So just trying to manage resources but still attaining our dreams, because it's we don't want to make the game slack because we don't have enough time, but we also, sleeping is important.
Right. Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest challenge.
Yeah. Is this your guys' first game?
No, air quotes. We've done game jams, we've done smaller projects, but this is our first long-term project. We've been in development for about 2 years.
Okay.
So this is we've never put this much effort, time, and love into something. So, and we're officially a business now. So this is our first game as a business.
Very cool. And where can people find Do a Crime?
Yeah, so we're on Steam and Itch. The demo's on both, and we're releasing next month. So feel free to, you can wishlist, you can download.
So thank you, Emily, and Emily and their team over at Collywobble Games. They are local. Some of them are Massachusetts-based. One of them's from Rhode Island. I think the other one's from New York. So they're all pretty much from this area, and it's really great to get to talk to some local devs. And I know I talked to Emily about potentially coming onto the show at some point for our Indie Dev Lounge. So who knows? Maybe you'll hear from Emily soon. Yeah, that was Do a Crime.
While Zach was playing Do a Crime, I was playing Stars of Icarus, which was an interesting game where it contained matches where ships of varying sizes fight each other. Rio and I manned a 2-person ship where I was a member of the crew and had to run around to repair things and shoot while Rio flew the ship. It's a contained type of combat situation, so it's not like X or Star Citizen where you go on these far-reaching things. You're just in a combat zone. It's a contained little fight arena, and you are fighting the other ships. It's really cool. I like it. They're the same people who did Guns of Icarus, which I believe is a similar style, except with old boats, maybe? Oh, no, it's airships. The Guns of Icarus is with airships, and so Stars of Icarus is with spaceships. So yeah, so if you like Guns of Icarus, watch out. Stars of Icarus is coming. In the PAX Rising booth, we saw a game called Fishbowl. While the developer was not there, as they are from India and they couldn't get to PAX East this year, Zach did speak with a representative from I Miss My Friends studio about the game.
The dev is a 2-team group from India.
Okay.
They unfortunately could not be here today, so that's why I'm here representing. The game is basically a narrative RPG about dreams, grief, and hope. You basically follow the main protagonist, Aloe, throughout her day-to-day as you navigate not only moving to a new city with a new job, new everything, basically, while also navigating the grief of the loss of her grandmother. So a lot of this game is just balancing your happy memories with your sad memories and keeping Aloe happy while she navigates this new part of her life.
Very cool. Trying to think of. So where can people find the game?
It's right now. It's on Steam and PlayStation. It releases April 2nd, but you can play the demo on Steam right now.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming by.
Yeah. Oh, have the devs released anything else?
Not that I'm aware of,
Okay.
but they are on social media. So go ahead and if you're curious, go ahead and look them up.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and Fishbowl is kind of cool. It's a little adventure title where you play as Alu, who's this girl dealing with loss. It seemed like kind of a sad game, but I liked the aesthetic a lot. That's what drew me toward it. Now, at some point I got separated from Seth, and I'm not exactly sure how that happened. It kept happening at PAX, though, I will say. Every now and then I would turn around and either Seth wasn't there, or he was playing a demo, and I wasn't interested in playing that demo, so I just kind of wandered. And this time when it happened, I got to meet Jack Perkins of Vania Games. Jack told me all about their game, Crystalmancers. So let's hear what Jack has to say.
So I'm Jack Perkins. I'm the co-founder and game designer for Vania Games. We're making Crystalmancers. It's a roguelike block puzzle game where your pieces are your weapons. You upgrade them like you would upgrade any weapon in another roguelike. There's unique characters that have ultimate attacks that really change up the way you play the game. There's passive items, active items, everything you've gotten used to in this type of genre, but with like a puzzle game twist.
Very cool. Now, what were some of the biggest inspirations?
Okay, so some of our biggest inspirations were actually puzzle games that kind of already put a spin on stuff. Like we like Puzzles and Dragons. Puzzle Fighter Z was a really big inspiration for the game, and then more recently, Slay the Spire has been a big inspiration in the terms of the way that the game is structured.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. What would you say has been the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is making it stable. Right, like that was a lot of what we spent our time on last year, and we're really happy to say it is in like a good spot where it's pretty easy to iterate on now.
Yeah.
But we put a lot of work into it, and so now we're really happy to start like getting the features we've been planning in there.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So thank you again, Jack. It was good getting to meet you and hear about your game and your team's game, Crystalmancers. Crystalmancers looks really cool, and I was excited to get to see it. So I think it was one of those games that I mentioned in our pre-PAX pod as a game I was excited to see. So it was cool to take a look at it. And at some point I reunited with Seth, and then we played the demo for No, I'm Not a Human, which is a game that's actually already out and available on Steam, but it's a game that was cool to try out. This is a game from Critical Reflex. Seth, what did you think of No, I'm Not a Human?
It's a little odd. I guess that's the best way of describing it. It's got an interesting art style. You know what it feels like? It feels like if the Soviet Union never stopped being a thing, and they developed a video game that they released to their people to play, it would be No, I'm Not a Human. The art style is very like Eastern European 50s kind of art style, and it's creepy for sure. I don't necessarily know if I would play the game by myself, but maybe would play it on a stream or something with other people in the room, because it's a game that I could have fun with playing it at a convention, but I don't do so well with scary games, so it was just a very odd game. But if I go down that route, maybe for spooky season, maybe I'll pick it up and play it. Ryan played Milsoner, and Ryan Prime, he played Milsoner, which is the game that we played last year where you have to take care of a very large man. And he walked away and was like, I think I will buy that game immediately when it comes out because it's weird. I'm glad that more people are enjoying the Milsoner game that Zach and I want to pick up.
Yeah, me too. After that, we went to lunch at Borderchito Taqueria and Spirits, which was a pretty good little Mexican restaurant that had different types of burritos and burrito bowls and quesadillas and nachos and tacos and stuff. I ended up getting a burrito bowl that was actually kind of, it was like, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like a pork, but it was using like hoisin sauce and stuff like that. So it wasn't necessarily kind of traditional Mexican style, but it was still very, very good. And one thing I didn't realize about Borrachito is that it is a speakeasy, which we didn't get to try, but there is in fact a way to get into the bar that is kind of secret at Borrachito, and I won't spoil it, but it's pretty obvious once you're there, once you realize. But yeah, it is a speakeasy, which is kind of cool. We went back to PAX, and I actually ended up running into my friend and fan of the show, Nathan. Nathan was on our show when we did the Metal Gear Solid kind of revival episode back when Nathan took Seth's spot for a bit. Nathan and I ended up playing some fighter games. We ended up playing a little bit of a Dragon Ball Z game. We played a little bit of a Gundam fighting game, and then we were going to play another game, but the controls were broken, so we couldn't play that. And yeah, we had a good time playing some games, some in the arcade, and after that, we looked around at some different little vendors. Nathan ended up buying some retro games. I thought about buying a Game Gear game for over $100 and decided against it. And then I just felt like I needed to leave. I think it was time to go for me. So I went and found Seth and Ryan Prime, who were waiting to play a game called We Were Here Tomorrow, which Seth will talk about in a moment, and decided to leave. And as I walked out, I was walking past a booth and got kind of flagged by the person running it saying, "Are you interested in our game?" And I said, "Okay, sure." And I ran into Aiko from Yang Yang Mobile. It looked like an interesting game that she was showing off. It was a game called High Times, which is a game being developed as a visual novel dating sim that is set in a donut shop, but I'll let Aiko talk about it. So here is her pitch.
So hi, I'm Aiko. I'm from Yang Yang Mobile. Yang Yang Mobile is an indie studio from the Philippines, and we are here just for PAX, so we are actually coming home on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
And High Times is a donut making dating sim. It is basically what you do is you manage your own donut cafe, you serve customers donuts, and then you can even romance your customers. So High Times is releasing this year in May. The demo is already on Steam. And Spirit Rancher is our next game. Spirit Rancher is, we are currently working on it. It's really early in development, but it is going to be our next game after we release High Times this May. It is a farming sim similar to Pokemon X Stardew Valley, where instead of doing the farming, you are a sage that collects the creatures. The creatures are called spirits, and then the spirits produce the crops. So the crops, like if you can see over there, the potato spirit, the mushroom spirit, they produce the mushrooms. Yeah.
Very awesome. What inspired you for making some of these games? What's been some of the biggest inspirations?
So we are actually an indie studio from the Philippines that's been established since 2017. We make visual novels, and we love Valhalla. Valhalla is actually our inspiration for High Times.
Very cool.
So but instead of making coffee, you create donuts in our game.
Right. Very cool. What's been one of the biggest challenges with making the game?
Making High Times. High Times actually is we've been in development for High Times for a really long time. So since COVID, we've been working on it since COVID. And one of the challenges, I guess, was that there was a mismatch in our target audience. So we assumed, because all our previous visual novels visual novels. We have a horror visual novel, Yuri visual novel that more male audiences liked.
Yeah, right.
But we found out later on that High Times was more catered towards the female audience. So we needed to add more male romanceable love interests.
Yeah.
So that was like one of the biggest challenges. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So thank you again, Aiko. I'm glad we got to talk to you, and I hope you had a safe flight back to the Philippines. Yeah, that was my time at PAX. I ended up leaving and going back home, but I know Seth stayed for a little bit because he played We Were Here Tomorrow, and I never got to hear what Seth thought about that.
So we played We Were Here Tomorrow from Total Mayhem Games. I played with Ryan Prime. Ryan Prime and I really love the We Were Here series, and We Were Here Tomorrow will be no exception. We watched some people play the 15-minute demo before we played, and we dropped in with our anticipation to get and desire to get farther than they did. I would say that we almost beat the demo, but we were short one key. But we definitely got farther than the previous people, and we felt pretty good about ourselves when we got up. The We Were Here series, if you're not familiar, is two people play through a puzzle game, and only half the puzzle is available to you because the other person sees the other part, and you have to work together to solve puzzles, and you can only talk through a use of a walkie-talkie, and you have to kind of describe. It's the game where I talk about where I have to poorly describe rooms to Ryan, and Ryan has to poorly describe rooms to me, and together we have to kind of figure out the puzzle and how it works. But this will be our fifth. I believe we've played 4 of them. I don't know if we actually played the first one together, but we've played We Were Here 2, We Were Here Together, and We Were Here Forever. And I believe We Were Here Forever is the game that we are currently playing, which is their last one that they released. And I think we're almost done with it. But when we played We Were Here Tomorrow, we were pretty good because we've gotten to be pretty good at these puzzle games from playing all of them through. So we were able to be like, do this, call this out, look for this, get this. And we were just like very, very efficient at getting through the puzzles, which was nice. One of Ryan Prime's one of his resolution was to play more games with me, which takes a lot of effort because he lives in the UK. So it's hard getting times where he's awake.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you guys got a chance to play it, and hopefully someday you'll find time to play.
Yeah, I have to either get up at 4 or have to immediately start playing at 5, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you just gotta put in the time.
Yeah, or play on the weekends, which is probably what's gonna happen.
But that was PAX East. Before we close out our episode, give our final thoughts on PAX, and get into our retro rewinds, I did want to mention a couple of the things that I didn't mention yet, which were things I picked up. I usually do buy things. I like buying things, so I did pick up a couple of things. I picked up, actually for my partner, I picked up a nice bag of tea from one of the vendors, D&T. I picked up a PS5 copy of Coffee Talk for my partner. That's a game that they had on their wish list on Steam, but I saw a physical copy, so I thought I'd buy it. At one point, I ran into Indiepocalypse / Pizza Pranks, which was one of the vendors that I was excited to see at PAX, and a vendor we got to meet and talk to last year. And as a reminder, Pizza Pranks and Indiepocalypse are a zine that is run, and it is a kind of curation of indie games. I picked up I Dreamt of Something Lost, The Lane Dimension Mixtape, and Armageddon. And these were 3 games that just kind of stood out to me. And I actually ended up being like, what would you recommend? And these were what was recommended to me as kind of an interesting, thoughtful game. I Dreamt of Something Lost, kind of a fun action mix, which was The Lane Dimension Mixtape, and then something absolutely bonkers and avant-garde, which is Armageddon. So I'm excited to try them out. I still haven't yet. They're kind of just sitting over on my desk, but I will get a chance to later, hopefully. I also picked up a copy of Nest Maker. I realized I didn't have a copy. Seth said he has a copy, which I know he does have, but I wanted a copy for myself. I wanted to throw some support toward Joe, and picked up a copy for myself, and also a copy of their movie, The New 8-Bit Heroes, which goes a bit more into kind of indie development. And then I picked up a tabletop RPG called Toad and and Froge, which was developed by Celeste Belmont of TC Cobalt. Toad and Froge is a cozy RPG where you play as either a toad or a frog, and you go find strawberries. Celeste pitched the game very well to me. It's kind of right up my alley in terms of things I like, which are cute things and things that are fun to play. So I picked up a copy as well as a couple of little figurines that I hope to paint maybe someday if I get invited to a paint night at my brother's. But
perhaps.
That being said, I'm going to go into my final thoughts on PAX, which are that I like PAX every year. I will say that I always have a good time. I love spending time with my brother. I love spending time with the Ryans. I like doing the things that we do outside of PAX as well as the things we do at PAX. However, honestly, I will say that this year felt a little different to me for some reason. I don't know if it's just it wasn't a lot of big games that I'm excited for not being there. I don't know if it was just the PAX Rising is always cool to see, but nothing really pulled me in, and it also just felt smaller. It felt like there was less indie developers there, and I don't know if it was just the way they're spacing things out, but it just felt like there was more room, and it feels like there's been more room in the years since since I started going, which I haven't been going that long. I haven't been going as long as Seth has, but it does feel like it felt different. Ultimately, though, I always have fun at PAX. I have a good time. And I don't know if the kind of smaller vibe that I was getting was maybe due to the fact that this was very early in the year for PAX. I mean, usually it's much later. Usually it's in later April or actually last year, I believe it was in May. And that usually I think might maybe help with kind of bringing more developers who don't necessarily want to brave the Boston cold, but I always have a good time, not necessarily with the convention itself, but that definitely, I think it was a good year as always with PAX. But Seth, what about you? What were some of your final thoughts?
Yeah, so I definitely think that the PAXs of today are different than the PAXs of pre-COVID. So like the 2017 PAX, 2018 PAX, and 2019 PAX definitely felt more impactful. I wanted to go 3 days. I think I did go for 3 days for some of the shows. There was even a time when I had to buy 3 badges because they didn't offer 3-day passes. So like you just had to buy 3 days and everyone had 3 days, 3 badges. They would offer the 3-day and then they eventually offered the 4-day. I never to this day have purchased a full day. I've never gone any year I've never gone to PAX every single day that the show is going on. And that is partly induced for a number of reasons. One, I generally do not care enough about the panels. This year, I was the first year that I didn't go to a single panel, and I was not interested in a single panel. I don't know if anyone in our group went to a panel, and I think that is part of it, right? So, like, the panel selection for me, it's not necessarily that they were bad panels. It's that they were not panels that I wanted to go to. Second, what I do is go to the floor, and I want to look at new games coming out. I want to look at some merch, and that's kind of like what I want to do. It doesn't take me 4 days to shop. And I move pretty quick through the entire convention floor. I evaluate things pretty quickly. Usually within a couple of hours, I kind of seen everything, and then I kind of go back and do deep dives on stuff that I am interested in. And that usually takes me about 2 days to do, to like really fully feel like I've seen everything that I wanted to see. And then everything else outside of the panels and the floor, for us, it's a lot of like just hanging out, which we can do not at PAX for more money, I guess. And that's kind of the thing. I like going to PAX. We'll continue to go every year. Maybe one year we'll get media badges. This year definitely felt subdue, but I was reading through the comics and the comments, and I always read, like, I do my own little post-mortem of PAX and the Reddits and read what people are saying, and it was more positive this year than it was in previous years. So maybe it's that I'm getting old. That could be the other thing, in that I've seen a lot of stuff, so it's not as impressive. They did have Ryan made a comment to me during the show, and he said there is a lot of kids here, like children. And at the end of the day, Nintendo had a huge booth. There was Magic, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a lot of stuff that would appeal to a younger demo as well as an older demo. And I think that part of that is like, yeah, but it's not, I don't own the show, right? At the end of the day. So like, if the show appeals less and less to me, I don't necessarily think that's a problem with PAX. I think that's just maybe a me problem. But yeah, it did also feel smaller. Like statistically, I think it was probably the smallest show that we've been to. It felt smaller, and it felt more like things that were generally in their own spot. They usually kept all the tabletop stuff in its own area. It's been feeling like they're like creeping in on the video games, where there wasn't a clear distinction. And that's, I think, my biggest gripe with it, was there was not a clear distinction of where I could see independent games easily. The booths were just not organized well, so that's my issue. And hopefully they'll fix it next year.
Well, that's PAX East 2026. And as always, this is our Post-PAX Pod. Getting now into our Retro Rewind, Seth had me play The Legend of Kyrandia, Book 2, The Hand of Fate for MS-DOS. Released in 1993 from Westwood Studios, The Legend of Kyrandia, Book 2, The Hands of Fate is a sequel, in fact, to The Legend of Kyrandia, which was also a game for MS-DOS. In the game, you play as a magic user named Xanthia, and you travel through a fantasy world known as the Kingdom of Kyrandia. And it's a point-and-click adventure game. I was actually reading a bit about the prequel to the game, The Legend of Kyrandia, the original, and apparently the original used context tools for the adventure game. So you'd click like go to area or look at area, where this game instead uses a bit more of a simplified mouse clicking mechanic, almost similar to like a Humongous game, though a little bit more complicated than that, but same idea. You know, you click on objects, you move them into your like inventory, and you like drag objects onto things to get them to interact. Easy to figure out, but I also had zero context of the game because I've never played the original. Also, the Scum version I was playing launched straight into the game with zero story notes, so it just immediately booted right up into it, and I just got right into the action. It's all right. I mean, it plays well enough for an adventure game. I think it holds up as an adventure game. It's got that kind of fun, somewhat comedic tone that games from LucasArts have. So overall, yeah, I think it does hold up. Next week, Seth, you can play Hillsfar for the NES.
Thanks, Zach. Zach had me play BattleTech The Crescent Hawk's Revenge for MS-DOS. The game is a direct sequel to the BattleTech The Crescent Hawk's Inception, and it was developed by Westwood Associates and published by Infocom. The game is a faithful recreation of the board game of BattleTech, and the board game of BattleTech is not a quick game to play, and the video game plays is equally slow. It is a very, very faithful recreation of it. It is definitely a real-time strategy game that inspired a number of other real-time strategy games and really build up the RTS genre. But if you've not played BattleTech, I would not necessarily recommend this game for you. In the game, you pilot some mechs, and you have to move them across the map and fight other mechs and kill them, and I'll do all that kind of stuff slowly and very, very nuanced, where you can target very specific systems and all that jazz. But if you have fond memories of growing up playing BattleTech, then yeah, you probably already played this game. So do some research on the game. It's definitely a game that is one of those classic games that helped define genres, but not necessarily one of the games that you should play. Next week, Zach, you could play Timegate Knights Chased, which is a game for the MS-DOS that we saw, or it's actually for the Win9X that we saw at PAX at a booth.
That sounds cool. Thank you, Seth. That being said, thank you everyone for listening to today's episode. We'll include any links and relevant social medias in the description for the episode, and we'll try to tag as many people as we can on our social media. So be sure to check out the devs and different people we talked about, as well as the games that we talked about. And if you have any thoughts on PAX, if you attended PAX this year, you've attended PAX previous years, you have any thoughts, let us know. You can do so by emailing us at classicgamingbrothers@gmail.com. We're available wherever podcasts can be found, via Podbean, iTunes, or iHeartRadio. We're available on social media. Check us out, Classic Gaming Brothers or CG Brothers Pod. We're available on our website, www.classicgamingbrothers.com. We're available on Patreon. We're available on YouTube. Like and subscribe. And yes, all those things. So with that, Seth, am I forgetting anything?
Don't play games like my brother.
And don't play games like my brother.
I've been Seth.
And I've been Zach.
And we've been the Classic Gaming Brothers.
There. That's right.
That's right.